About to get started. Real quick, we're going to get started. Everyone come to the front. We're going to see part of this.
And it's well, with liberty, justice for all. Accepting come to America.
My name is Justin Miller. I'm the president of the St. Augustine South Improvement Association. I really just want to thank everyone for coming out here and participating in this today. Really want to thank the candidates for coming out as well. Unfortunately, we're not able to have one of the candidates make it. Well, two of our candidates, one we were not able to go for. And then Will McKillen, but he was not able to get a family like last 14. So, but other than that, this will be Kenneth Rayner. He's going to be the moderator here tonight with Dr. Kenneth Rayner. With and calls in legal, correct? Education nonprofit. All right. I just want to say thank you and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin. All right. Wish I lose my voice right before we do this. All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for taking the time on Wednesday night to be here. We're here because we care about the future of St. Augustine South and St. Johns County. Did not loud, right? Sorry,
Yeah, can you turn it louder?
right up on it.
There we go.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right. So tonight is about getting to know the people who want to represent us and understanding their priorities to help us make informed decisions. As Justin said, my name is Kenneth, and I'll be your facilitator for the evening. My role tonight is not to insert my own opinions, but to keep us on schedule, ensure fairness, and uphold the norms that we've established for this space. My volunteer right here up in the front row, Doris, who will be serving as our official timekeeper this evening. Thank you, Doris. Here's how the evening's going to flow. So we will start with a brief introduction from each of the candidates. Then we will move into a round robin discussion on major county issues, including development and growth management, AI data centers, and the cost of living. I'm hoping that their round robin discussions will also help generate questions here in our audience, because afterwards it is your turn for a Q&A, where we will put a microphone up here and I'm going to ask that we get in line and you will have your opportunity to ask questions of our candidates. All right. And there we go. And finally, we will wrap up around 8 p.m. That's the goal. All right. So to ensure tonight runs smoothly and that we respect our candidates and neighbors, we have a few simple norms. The first one, if y'all can do it with me, is to make sure that your devices are silent or they're set to vibrate. If you need to answer a call, please step completely outside of the building as so not to distract the speakers or your neighbors, please. Next one, it's a big one, is please focus on the issue, not the person. So direct your questions and comments towards policy, community concerns, and proposed solutions. Next is engage in questions, not storytelling. Please keep your questions concise so that we can cover as many topics as possible. Avoid lengthy preambles and or personal anecdotes. We are going to ask when we do our audience Q&A that we try to do one question at a time. So please limit yourself to one question. Don't try to do those sneaky double questions when you get here. Next is seek complete answers. That's what we're here for tonight, right? So if the candidate does not fully answer a question, please consider what part was missed so that you can come back up and make sure that that question gets addressed in the way that you need it to be addressed. Lastly is please hold applause towards the very end. We will give an opportunity to do that at the very end. We just have to want to keep moving. So please don't do applauses in between each of the answers. With that being said, Can we all agree to abide by these norms tonight to ensure a productive conversation? If so, please raise your hand or just nod. Okay, thank you. All right, I appreciate y'all's commitment to making this a great event for our community tonight. So we are going to get started. So we are honored to have the candidates for the District 2 and District 4 commission seats with us tonight. Thank you all for your willingness to serve. Regarding timekeeper, our timekeeper will hold up a yellow card to indicate 30 seconds left and a red card indicating your response needs to end, please. To kick things off, we will give each of you 50 seconds to introduce yourself and answer our opening question, which is, what is one thing you love about the St. Johns County community? All right. We drew numbers earlier to determine the speaking order, so we will start with Krista Keating-Joseph.
Thank you. And I am your current county commissioner right now. And what I love the best is living here. I love all of you guys. I love you contact me. I love seeing you in the grocery store. I love Shore Drive. I love Crescent Beach. I love the Ag Lands. I love Ponte Vedra Beach. I love Fruit Cove Springs, that long dock that the county still maintains, which is really scary. You should go there one day and walk all the way out to the end. I just love going to Tour de Farms, which is just incredible. They sold out the day they had Tour de Farms. Crescent Beach with its rocks, and Summer Haven, and St. Augustine. You know, we won a multiple culinary contest just the other day. You know, we have so much to offer in this county, and to live here has just been fantastic. And I've driven it all, and I love it every moment that I'm here. And thank you, and all the trees and the flowers, the rivers and the clean water. And I'm not at the end. Oh, I'm at the end. All right. Thank you, Doris.
Okay, my name's Sam Williams, and what I love about this community is this is where my wife and I have raised our family, brought our children up to the public schools. I myself graduated from Flagler College here. And what I love about this community is being the opportunity to serve this community. At the sheriff's office, I did a little over 30 years, worked my way through the ranks up to director of corrections. And I've spent half my life already serving here. And I still have more gas in my tank. still have a service heart, you know, so it was a good time maybe to retire from law enforcement, but it's not a time for me to retire from the community. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Austin Galloway. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a fifth generation Floridian. And what I love most about St. Johns County community is our families, our ability to have small local businesses, to support our seniors, to have a wonderful experience in nature. We have beautiful beaches, but in St. Augustine particularly, we have one of the most beautiful historical areas. Growing up in Jacksonville, when I heard that we were doing field trips to St. Augustine, I always was so excited because it has a historical sense. It has wonderful shops and residents. I'm delighted to be a resident here since 2019. I've run my own, founded my own business, run my own business since 2017, and I can't thank everybody enough for helping me make it so successful. Thank you all so much.
Hi, I'm Tim Burrs, and what I love about St. Johns County is I've spent 54 years in this county. I grew up here. I attended elementary school through high school. I graduated in 1988, went off into the military, and came right back home after my service was done. I got a job at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office and retired after 25 years. I love our history. I love everything about our community. You know, I love the service of the community. I serve on the Salvation Army Board. You know, what's there not to like about this county? That's why I came back home. And, you know, it's more than just a home to me. It's where I met my wife, where I got married, like the museum downtown. It's where I've had 3 children, now 2 grandchildren. And it's more than just a home. It's my life. It's my whole being, and hopefully my children as well in the future.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming out. My name is Martin Pishimuka. I've lived here for 4 years, and I can tell you honestly that we have the most amazing people in this county. I qualified via petition. I was the only person in this race who qualified via petition. A lot of people lived here for a long time. I'm the only one that qualified via petition. I received 2,300 petitions in 1 month. That means I've talked to a lot of residents, and I know what's going on. I love the residents, the government in St. Johns County, as we all saw on the news, and as I've been talking about for about 4 months now, has been corrupted. When I say good old boy network, you guys know what connotation we. It's not an assault of the earth, good old boy. It's the insider dealing, good old boy network to protect and prosper very few. And I'm running to protect St. Johns County because I moved here to raise my family because I've lived in places they don't want to see St. Johns County come.
Thank you. Right, so, for the round robin, because we have 5 voices to hear from tonight, we will have exactly 90 seconds to answer each round robin question. Our timekeeper will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. All right, the question was. Sorry, I gotta get right up. There. With the county's focus shifting towards major infrastructure corridors like State Road 16, how will you balance the need for new development and infrastructure with the preservation of our existing neighborhoods and natural resources? And we're gonna start with Sam Williams.
Well, I think we first need to do get some data driven information. We need to know what does the community need, not what does developers need to build, but what does the community need? And maybe we need to consider getting all our infrastructure in place before we start building. Otherwise, we're building our second floor before we pour our foundation. So we've got plenty of building going on, and some of it's been approved from 15 years ago. But we've got to catch up with our infrastructure. We've got to have a vision for further down the road. Because St. Johns County has had problems, St. Johns County has problems, and St. Johns County will have problems. So in order to find out what we need people with vision that look down the road, understand decisions today, how they affect us down the road. And we need a leader to help with that. So we need some strong leadership, and we've got to project down the road. What do we need? Decisions we make now, how does that affect us 5, 10, 15 years down the road? Because decisions we make now it's going to be the next commissioners that are going to be, held accountable for that, because the current commissioners now or the next commissioners, their time is going to be down the road. We've got to have vision. We got to look down there further and say, what does this community need? Let's build with a purpose if we build.
Yes, Jane Ontiello.
Thank you, Dr. Renner. That's an excellent question. And first and foremost, I'd like to make sure that any growth does not outpace our infrastructure requirements. Responsible growth with impact fees and infrastructure requirements are a hallmark of responsible planning. I'd like to keep commercial projects near our corridors and interstates and out of our residential neighborhoods. Nobody wants to see a lot of commercial traffic right where they live, and I'm going to try to alleviate and avoid that as much as possible. Items like infrastructure, roads, utilities, emergency services need to be laid out as a priority rather than a filler in later. And I'd also like to work with county staff, other constitutional officers, and the public. I'd like to get the opinions of our seniors, our local business owners, our families, because ultimately every thing that's built has the potential to impact them. And I don't want to see anyone's quality of life impacted negatively. I want to see any project impact everyone in a positive way. And that requires the ability to work with others, and I'm going to do that. Thank you.
And that's Mr. Chambers.
Well, currently we have over 200 developments already approved for in this county into the future. I would like to see some type of pause, if legally able, to pause on any future development for now until we can get some studies done to see what kind of impact it's having currently on our infrastructure, which we know is horrible right now. Our traffic's horrible. See what we're going to be in the future with what we currently have going now. You need to see what the residents want. For too long, the residents haven't had a voice in what has been going on in this county. And, you know, I know from talking from people that every time they try to contact the county commissioner or someone else, they can't get a hold of them or they won't return the phone call. If elected, I'll be one of those that will always return your phone call, always be available, and always be transparent. Our natural resources are natural resources. We get one shot at it. We can't bring them back once they're gone. We don't need to pave over every square inch of this county to have a successful county. You know, it's heartbreaking to grow up in a county where you're surrounded by farmland, fields, and wooded areas. And now I live in the middle of a potato field. And there was no vision, there was no thoughts to the future on how that was going to look down the road. They were committing everything that came to them because they were wanting the almighty dollar for this county. And it's got us in one heck of a mess, to put it quite frankly. And without vision, without a plan for the future, we're not going to get any better than what we are now.
Everybody, that ship has already sailed. I hear vision. I hear we need to have development with infrastructure. We need to slow the growth as much as humanly possible and actually have our infrastructure catch up and reassess. Now, we need a fighter on the board. We need somebody who's going to fight the Tallahassee takeover of our home rule. We have a new bill that just came out, SB 686. There's 6 parcels of land coming, and I believe 2 were by Chris Shee, guy who gave to your campaign, right?
Yeah, good friend of mine.
Yep, exactly. We can't have commissioners beholden to developers. We already had 2 out of 3 developer-funded commissioners criminally charged. I wonder why those 2 commissioners were coming and attacking me on Facebook. Why would they be worried about FBI agent who investigated public corruption? And I had a 3rd saying that I was going to throw him in jail, spreading that.
Why don't you?
We need to fix St. John's County. And I'm the person that fixes it. We need to re-elect Krista, have Ann Taylor on the board, and you will have 3 fighters that are fighting for St. John's County.
Everybody covered all things. Thank you. We're all good for the meeting norms.
All right, so I was sitting here, you know, writing down exactly what this person who's done his research just said, because when I came on the board, Sarah Arnold had already approved or was ready to approve 10,000 homes. Christian Whitehurst over 15,000 homes. I voted 71 times, 4-1 for 2 years. I stood up for the people who wanted me there, regardless that I was losing, because I was representing you and your voice, and I did it. And it's hard because I was always continually attacked, and they tried to take me down also for those 2 years. And guess what happened? Ann Taylor and Clay Murphy got on the board, and that helped. That really helped a lot. And let me just tell you that right now, we don't have a lot of choices when we want to slow the growth. We do have choices to get the infrastructure caught up, and we're doing that right now. But right now, Tallahassee has taken over the home rule. And thank you for doing your research, because right now they're making 4,500 homes, residential units that are coming to us August 18th, that all we can say is, does it fall under agriculture enclave or not? There's 6 of them in the pipeline. They are going to build out this county, and we are going to be ribbon cutters. We have nothing more that we can do except for keep the infrastructure going and fight this. You know, SB 180, we wanted to get in a lawsuit with other counties to fight it. And that may be what we have to do down the road, is to actually get in a lawsuit for the agriculture enclave, because it will ruin our county. It'll take out all our trees and all the beauty that we moved here for. And, we really need to do our homework. We really need to be on it, and we really need you, which I return my emails. I call people back. We need to have you being part of the process. Thank you.
Don't think I'm just gonna bump up the volumes.
Let's see, keep the mics closer, as much as you can, much better.
I'm trying.
I'm darn gonna spin.
Sorry, with like a 30-year-old. Okay. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Yeah, okay. Real quick, I just want to pause and remind, if you need a writing utensil or piece of paper, we do have scrap paper and pencils. If you want to hold up your hand and you need one, we have volunteers that can run around and drop off whatever you need if you want to be taking notes as we hear our responses, all right? So we have some up front here, y'all. Thank you, Sue, and some up in the back. If you just hold up your hand and Sue's coming around. All right, we ready to go to our next question? AI data centers represent a potential source of significant property tax revenue, but they also require massive amounts of electricity and water. As a commissioner, how would you weigh the potential economic benefits against the environmental demand of these facilities? And we will start with Mr. James Austin Galloway.
Thank you, Dr. Renner. As I told the St. John's Citizen and St. Augustine TV, I am not for data centers anywhere in St. Johns County. I would also support the moratorium to hold discussions on the matter. I don't want to bring anything to St. Johns County that would negatively impact our environment. I'd like to bring in clean, high value light industry if possible, potentially medical and medical related light production. But more importantly, I'd like to stimulate our small local businesses. I've been a local business owner for over 10 years. I have had success in the community. I like to see small local businesses thrive. And I think that we need to support small local businesses. There's several other categories of businesses other than data centers. There's a million other things I can think of that I prefer to promote or bring into St. Johns County other than data centers. And I'd like to make sure that all of the commercial infrastructure conforms with the character of our neighborhoods. I don't want to see something that looks out of place, something that looks like it wasn't planned. I like the idea of modern buildings that have green architecture. Every project should have an architect, a landscape architect, and it needs to beautify the area rather than take away from it. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Kinberg.
Yeah, I've had a similar question like that came up. We had a question like this last night. And as I stated before, I would support a moratorium on it. After the moratorium was over, if there was enough research and data done, it all depends on what the citizens want. I know it's going to generate some revenue, but money's not always everything. So if it's something the citizens want, it has a zero impact on the environment. And it's something that will not put a strain on our infrastructure. I'd be open to considering it. But once again, it's not what I want, it's what the citizens want. And for far too long, the citizens haven't had a voice in anything. I'm not, myself personally, I'm opposed to them. I know what they come with. They come with a lot of strain on the infrastructure, the depletion of water, the heat they generate, and all kinds of other bad things. But at the end of the day, it's up to the citizens and what they want. If they want it in their backyard, then, I would be willing to listen to their arguments if, like I said before, if it didn't impact our data or our environment, if it didn't hurt our infrastructure.
Thank you. Mr. Martin.
Like I said, the great thing about running for office and actually talking to people is what the citizens want. I've knocked on over 2,000 doors, talked to over 2,000 people getting petitions signed. I actually have something on my material that talks about data centers. Know how many people want a data center and are in favor of data centers?
No, none.
One.
One.
One that I talked to.
Thank God.
Data centers destroy communities. We need to protect St. Johns County. No one has been protecting St. Johns County. We need to not worry about the revenue that they bring in. We need to worry about running a government responsibly and actually returning money back to the residents. Data centers. Everyone, oh my goodness. When these unicorn data centers materialize, that don't take any water, that are powered by their own sense of power, and don't kick off crazy frequencies that screw with all the wildlife and the people, then maybe we could consider,
No.
they're about 100 times smaller than what they currently are. So I hope that makes my stance perfectly clear on data centers.
Thank you. Mr. Jefferson.
Okay, it's one word, no. I'll explain why, and it's because we live in a location where we have the St. Johns River, and then we have the inland waterway, and then we have the ocean. We have lots of wetland, we have lots of environment. And you know, the ag land is a strategic piece of property that supports the entire country with food. And it's a security issue. I mean, look at what's happening in Iran. I mean, what if it came over here? We could produce enough food for St. Johns County. We could produce more food for Florida. And that cannot be rooftops. That cannot be data centers. And there is no question that a data center does not belong in St. Johns County ever. And I would love to do a complete moratorium on it. I do not want 1 year to think about it. I heard that they're considering loosening up in not Tallahassee, but actually in Washington, the ability to put them in. So if we only do a 1 year moratorium, they're just going to get their ducks in a row. So at 1 year, they're going to put them in. So we do have counties near us. So, you know, like Duval County is very close to Nocatee and part of Nocatee. So, you know, we do have to watch if they're going to come into those counties to try to protect ourselves and really, really run against those. I mean, that's when your voices count. They all count. You guys, when you show up at the meetings, when you email, when you call me, it's great. And that's what helps this community and this government. Thank you.
Mr. Samuel.
Well, I don't know anybody that wants a data center here. But what we've got to do is, you know, how many people in this room by raising hands have been to a town hall meeting with a county commissioner lately? That's not.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Point of order.
Yes, point of order. I've had 2 in my district in the last year. He said I could rebut, right?
After order from.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And that may be different for Commissioner Joseph because she's in a different district, but we're not getting out enough and talking to our folks because as county commissioner, y'all are our bosses. And the only way I was successful as I was at work for 30 years was I go to my boss and say, hey, what are we doing well? What do we need to do better? So until the community comes forward and says, we want a data center, then it's a hard no for me as well. But it's not good for our environment. It's not good for our infrastructure. It's not good for anything other than bringing in tax dollars. I think there's better ways that we can get the tax dollars. So we got to reach out to our community, find out what they want. Because if you're voting without having town halls, you're just guessing at what your community wants, or you're going by what the 20 people that show up every other Tuesday that are very dedicated are telling you, but that's not everybody. You know, why aren't we having a county commission meeting in the evening so people working can go?
And did you want your 30 seconds?
Sure.
30 seconds.
Thank you. I mean, because I'm actually doing the job, so I know what I do and I know what other people do, but we have town halls. I've had 2 town halls at the Ponte Vedra Library. I put a big whiteboard up. I wrote a bunch of things up. I followed through. I called people back. I had 175 emails that I've answered in the last 2 weeks. You can reach me anytime. We have a website that is easy to navigate. It's not as difficult. People here need to do the research to actually know what you actually have in this community. I think all of you guys have reached out to me in some fashion. I mean, it's not a dark wall, and I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to be moving to our third question. So question number 3, the people who work in our community, teachers, first responders, and service workers, are increasingly priced out of living in St. Johns County. What concrete policies would you advocate for at the county level to increase the supply of attainable workforce housing? And we're going to start with Mr. Timbers.
I hate the term workforce housing. Sounds like cheap housing for the servants that serve you in this county. And having been a deputy sheriff for 25 years, it kind of makes me mad to hear these things, that our deputies, our firemen, our teachers don't make enough money in this county to live. And I don't know if there's anything we can ever do to make housing affordable other than raise their standards of living by giving them the proper pay that they deserve. You know, Jacksonville is fixing to go to $82,000 a year in a few months. And that is going to suck us dry with our first responders. We have firemen and firewomen that don't even have a contract and haven't had one for 8 months because they're in impasse with the county commission. So until we start doing our job on the board, if elected as a county commissioner, things are not going to get any better. We are going to lose deputy sheriffs like you've never seen them. And there's going to be ones that say, well, you know, living here in St. Johns County is not a right. Move to Jacksonville, move to Palm Coast. When you have a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, you want your deputy sheriffs coming from an hour away. And that little boy, that little girl's lost. Do you want them coming from an hour away to look for them? Yeah, let's get their rate of pay up. Let's pay them for what they're worth, and we'll fix this issue.
Yes. Mr. Martin and Pishimuka.
Well, that's news to me that our deputy sheriffs stay at home when they're on duty. So if a girl goes missing, they have to be called from their home to respond. They're not actually on the job. So that's new. I didn't know that. I have quite a few sheriffs living in my neighborhood. You know what a lot of sheriffs have? I have one. I have a spouse. You know what a lot of people do? Unfortunately, because of the pay. And we can't control the price of everything, folks. The federal government has printed money out of control. That's why there's inflation. Oh, by the way, I have an economics degree from Rutgers University. I also have an MBA. I'm also a small business owner. So I know how things work. And when I hear these arguments about we need this housing for these first responders, I was a first responder. I was an air marshal. That was my first federal law enforcement job. I was based out of New York. I couldn't afford to live in New York. I actually did have to commute. I actually had roommates. You know what happened? My pay went up. We weren't able to work overtime in my federal career. Local police officers can work overtime. We need to focus more on personal responsibility, not some Trojan horse by developers to tug on everybody's heartstrings to get a bunch of housing approved that's going to revert back to market rate and further exacerbate the problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2 seconds rebuttal. You said none.
I'm sure in the federal system, they pay a lot more than what we do locally here for law enforcement. Starting deputy pay in this county is about $62,000 a year. Well under what it needs to be. And to assume that they're irresponsible with their money is irresponsible to say. I would like to see a lot of people try to live on $62,000 a year. And then be under the gun, constantly under the pressure that they're put under. You know, it's easy to say when you've never been one in this county or any other county, what a deputy sheriff does or what they don't do for their money.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. 30-second rebuttal.
I'd like to know what the average salary is. I'm sure everybody in the room Folks, I was in law enforcement. Yes, I was never a police officer pulling people over on the road. I understand that. Everybody with a starting salary, does it stay a starting salary? Is everybody entitled to have a house with their starting salary? Am I the only person who believes in personal responsibility? We had a,
Thank you.
time's up.
All right, thank you. We're gonna move to, Krista Keating.
Yes, so last night there were 3 sheriffs. We had another debate last night. So I asked them, I go, do you guys live in St. Johns County? And they go, yeah, we live in St. Johns County. And I go, so how much do you guys make? And they go, oh, I'm up over 70. And I said, you know, we've given them raises every year. This is my 4th year. We've given them raises every year. We're giving them more raises next year, as well as the fire department. We want to give them a raise, but we're at an impasse because they're arguing over some things that they don't need or I feel is a problem. But we are giving them a raise if they want a raise. So the other part is right now we have homes that are available for workforce housing. We have actual real homes that we don't have to have Trojan horse, high density builders come in and build for them. So I've been watching Zillow, and every week I put together how many houses are available. So for $75,000 to $300,000, there's 503 homes available today for St. Johns County. 75,000 to 250 lower, 279. If you wanted to rent a house, for $475 to $1,500, there's 200 about rentals available. That's like 1,000 houses are available right now. So again, market, supply and demand, it works. Right now, people are having trouble renting. I mean, people are having trouble selling homes right now. So what happens? They lower the price a little to get those sold. And if you can't sell them, you rent them out. So that's how the market works. And thank you very much.
All right, and, Mr. Sam Williams?
You did that. Remember.
Yeah, we get this question a lot. My question would be, did this question come from the community? Because it seems like every forum this comes up. And our answers are generally the same thing every time. It's there's can a deputy that's or a teacher that starts off making $45,000 a year afford a house in St. Johns County? No, they can. But there's opportunities out there for programs for maybe a discounted interest rate or a no down payment or something like that. So there's some avenues out there for these first responders, the service industry, the teachers that they could be utilized. I think we've got to get, as a community, we got to get out, we got to share that with folks. Because, you know, county, just like any other organization, the biggest problem you're ever going to have is communication. We're not getting the communication out, and we're not getting the volume of communication in that we need. So this community should be guiding this board. When this board makes a decision and they vote, they should pretty much be 5-0 every time, because the board should be working together for what the community wants, not what an individual commissioner wants or what an individual outside the organization wants. It should be what our community wants, because we work for y'all. Y'all, y'all tell us what y'all want. And so when we get up there and vote, we should be voting exactly what y'all have asked.
Mr. James Austin Gallup.
This is an excellent question, and I would promote a policy that would help our first responders and law enforcement and our wonderful teachers have a pathway to housing. But any policy would require a very thorough review to make sure that it's not using our tax dollars to subsidize developers that we don't want to see take advantage of our kind gesture. So if the policy doesn't balance that properly, I'd be more inclined to increase salaries to allow our teachers and law enforcement and first responders to obtain the housing. But one thing that I think we can all kind of come to a consensus on is having a habitual commuter status of people that work in our county to wear down our infrastructure just to get to work isn't the best policy. I'd like to see more engagement with organizations like Habitat and for Humanity, and thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, y'all. So thank you. That wraps up our round robin version. So now we're going to switch gears. Will you move in the mic, boys? Wherever you think is best. Oh, there we go. Okay, so while Justin is setting up the microphone for speakers, I just want a couple of things. So what we're going to try to create a single file line, right? And remember our meeting norms. The big one, please, is to focus on the issue and not the person. So for example, please ask a question about the issue so that all 5 of our candidates can contribute a response. Additionally, 1 question at a time. What else? Sorry, going through my notes. I do encourage you to please write down your question in case it needs to be repeated. That way that question gets asked in the same manner that you first intended it to be asked. If you don't feel comfortable coming up to the microphone to ask your question out loud, you're welcome to write it down and you can raise it up and a volunteer will come around and grab it and I will ask your question for you, okay? And we'll add it to the queue. All right, you ready? All right. Anyone willing to come up? And sorry, sorry, 90 seconds to respond.
Real quick, home insurance rates have gone up considerably, and that's a big part of the cost of living. Our home insurance has gone up immensely. And part of that is the increasing threat that we've had from hurricanes actually come close and caused quite a bit of flooding within St. Johns County and other damage. Within our neighborhood alone, we had sailboats. It's pretty interesting. Do any of you, will you advocate for policies that increase natural protections like living shorelines or anything in order to protect our shorelines to prevent flood?
And we will start, I apologize, we will start with Mr. Martin.
Appreciate the question. I would definitely have to look into that. I am not an expert in the protections that you're speaking of, but I would definitely look into that. It only seems to make sense if we could do something that would protect the county. That's what I've been saying the entire time I've been running. I'm here to protect St. Johns County. So if there's something we can do that will actually work and look into it, or to protect St. Johns County, I would definitely look into that. But I'm not an expert in that field, nor am I an expert in insurance. So I believe that's better suited for the governor. Thanks.
All right, so there's 2 things I've already done, and one is I've raised a lot of money through Senator Hudson for beach renourishment over, let's see, I think over $53 million for the Ponte Vedra area, as well as we attain grants all the way down the Crescent Beach, and we're working on Summer Haven. We're working on North Beach, Volano Beach, and so we're constantly re-upping all our grants, and we have an actual grant writer. It's fantastic. The other thing that lowers insurance rates is fire stations near you. So if you have a fire station within, I don't know, what is it, 5 miles? I think it's 5 miles. It lowers your insurance rate. And guess what? We just approved a bond for new fire stations and new parks. And that bond is not paid by rooftops. That bond is paid by many other things than rooftops. So it's been a great program, and it should help you with your insurance rates. So, hopefully we don't have a hurricane again for a while, because I don't want a sailboat in my yard. But, thank you.
Mr. Sam Williams.
Well, when it comes to some of these things, the county commissioners aren't going to know everything. What they do is we need to, and I guess they have done this, is pull in some of the experts, find out what we need. let's have a round table. And let's have a table where we put the commissioners at the table. Let's put the citizens and what they're looking for at the table. Let's put the educators, the first responders, and even the developers that would help build these precautions for us. But you got to put them around the table, because if you agree with a builder to build some kind of a protection wall, but it's going to negatively affect first responders or the community, you won't know if you don't ask. So when you put the people around the table that can help with this, then you find out what the community wants, and you come to an agreement on what everybody in the community needs this protection for, because we got a beautiful community here, and we should be trying to protect it.
Mr. James Ossendale.
Insurance industry, has raised their rates whenever there's hurricanes. And we've all felt the impact of it, going back a few years. I've been president of my HOA for the past 3, and although it's slightly a different situation, the insurance was very high. It does create a strain of our resources to have to meet the premium payments. A lot of this can be regulated at the state level, but as far as what commissioners can do in terms of planning are all of the little variables that are considered when assessing a policy, such as proximity to fire hydrants and fire stations, but also the amount of crime in an area could reduce the insurance rate. And that's no good for anybody. So as far as beach renourishment goes, that would theoretically stop hurricane and nor'easter storm damage. And I'd be for policies and expenses that mitigate that damage as much as possible, because we don't want our money going toward unnecessary premiums that are too high. Thank you.
And up next, Mr. Timbers.
First and foremost, you're not gonna beat Mother Nature. She's gonna win every time. Where we used to go kayaking down around Summer Island, South Park, around Marine Land on off of A1A no longer exists because of bad storms we've had in the past. I've always wondered why the state doesn't do more about fixing this issue. We allow these insurance companies to come in, bill you monthly, annually, semi-annually, take your money, and then as soon as the storm comes, they pick up and leave the state. Same with people that live in mobile homes. You know, they can get cut at any time and have their insurance jerked out from underneath them for any reason whatsoever. I think the state, the federal government needs to get involved and make sure that this doesn't happen. And then put something in place that protects the residents. It needs to protect the homeowners. People also got to be mindful of where they build a home. You know, you go where you got Porpoise Point. As a kid, we used to go down there and fish, and now it's full of homes. What do you think is going to happen when a hurricane comes? It's going to remove them. It's going to be part of the ocean. So they got to do their due diligence as well. But anything that would come up by the county that sounds like it's reasonable and can be done, I would be willing to listen.
Thank you. All right, next question.
Good evening, candidates. Thank you for coming tonight and seeing us. I have a question on a local level, basically about some recent decisions that were made on the commission. Those decisions were made basically to protect 2 employees, very highly compensated employees, one a county attorney and the other one our county administrator. Their contracts were extended and they were given protections, which I personally don't believe in. I think if y'all live up to your contract and stick to it, and I don't believe in protecting and picking out people and protecting certain individuals. I'd like to know what your view is on that, and if you were to take a vote today, or if you were on the board to make that vote, how you would vote on something like that. Thank you.
And we will start with Krista Schneider.
Well, obviously, this is deja vu because I voted against both those things because it doesn't represent our community. The attorney not being able to be fired without a supermajority vote of 4-1 is ridiculous. I mean, I'm representing, like, let's see, a majority of the board is 3-2. That's what, 60% of the people out there. And if it has to be a supermajority, then it's what, 70? What's a supermajority? 80%. So that means only 20% is it's the people we're listening to. That doesn't make sense. I mean, it's wrong. It's opposite. We should be able to have a fair legal person. I mean, whether he's good or not, it doesn't matter. They should not have that 4-1 supermajority. It doesn't make sense for the public. It doesn't make sense for you guys. You should be able to have a say in that. And you don't have a say in it if it's 4-1. So. And the administrator, I think she could use less, and frankly, I would take less because what we make $100,000 a year is ridiculous, as well as our health insurance. Sorry, guys, but if you're in it for the money, you shouldn't be because it's supposedly a job that's part-time. It's not. It's a full-time job. I'm answering calls on Saturday and Sunday and emailing, and I went and visited a family, and I was at their dinner table on the weekend to see a problem that they're having with their neighbors. So, $100,000 is just way too much when it's more than a police officer, and they should be making that, and a teacher should be making that, frankly. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Sam Williams.
Like, my question would be, what did the community say? How did they want it voted? Again, if they're our boss, we should have reached out and said, how do y'all want this? Do you want it a majority or super majority? And we should be voting what we've been asked to by our community. So whether it should be a majority or super majority, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but my answer would be whatever my community asked me to do, because you are the people that should be holding us accountable. If we're not doing what you ask us to do, then why are we there?
Mr. James Austin Galloway.
Thank you for the question. This is, I think, the first time I've answered this question publicly, but it's something that I've pondered a lot as an attorney at home. The short answer is I would have voted against the measure. But as an attorney, I probably would be very cautious about continuing to work in the capacity if I knew that there was a conflict with some of the commission. But there is another complicated part of this, and it's whether or not that conflict would be my performance, or if it's political. I know that in a private capacity, I've always had a wonderful relationship with all of my clients. It's a very difficult job to picture being a county attorney, to be being competent and diligent and thorough in every manner. So it's a very difficult question to answer, but at the end of the day, if 3 commissioners do not seem to agree, then I think that it would be time for me to move on. I know that I would voluntarily move on.
Thank you. All right, up next, Mr. Timbers.
I agree with the attorney.
Yeah.
No, I agree with what everybody's saying is, how does that even get into a contract? And, if they're not doing the will of the people and the will of the residents, then they shouldn't be there. They should be no different than any other county employee or city employee or any other employee at any other job. If you're not cutting it, you need to go. To have a super majority or whatever they're calling it is, I think, outrageous. I've seen other positions get cut by the county commission before for various reasons, and I think once you're in that position as a county commissioner, you're beholden to the people, and if that's the people's will, then it should be done.
Mr. Martin, who's moving?
I think our founding fathers would be rolling over in their graves. The Constitution has been completely inverted. The power is supposed to be at the local level with the people. What we saw was a usurpation of the power from the people. Again, it's been happening in Tallahassee, it's been happening at the federal government level, and now it's happening at our county government level. I believe this is the meeting where Commissioner Whitehurst said, well, we can't be political and let's not look any further than Facebook. Commissioner Whitehurst often cites North Florida Patriots as a resource on Facebook. They have said nothing but flat out lies about me since I filed to run. Just so everyone knows, Christian Whitehurst just got criminally charged, along with Sarah Arnold. Part of the reason why I'm running, folks, we need to look at how this attorney got hired in the first place. We didn't hire an attorney. We hired a firm that was very well connected. Does anyone know where?
That's it.
Tallahassee. I believe the name of the firm was Garrison Commando Bradley. Maybe it was a different order. But at that vote, one of the commissioners said, I'm going to vote for him because they can really bring home the bacon.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next question.
Captain. I'm Captain. Krista, you are the only one who didn't yell at us during a town hall meeting about NIMBYism for the trail. I voted against it. My question is, when Governor DeSantis indicated or put forth that he was going to basically sell 6 of our public parks to golf courses and hotels. On Anastasia Island was one, a 300-room hotel. I want to know what each of you felt about that and how you voted. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll start with Mr. Sam Williams.
You know, I had a boss one time that said that at some point, we're gonna have to tell the government no. And I think that's what this community did, is we reached out to everybody, let their voice be heard. And St. Johns County knows what's better for St. Johns County than the state does. And we lose a little bit of that every time that we fail to act and fail to do things. In that case, y'all did. Everybody pulled through and we let the governor know that's not okay with us. Our state parks are very important and our green space is very important. So sometimes us as a community has to tell the government, yeah, we appreciate it, but no, we don't want to do that.
Mr. Dan Crossing Galloway.
I would not support any measure that would encourage such a drastic change to the character of Anastasia Island. It's a beautiful place. To have that many golf courses just spring up with hotels and other infrastructure just as almost on a whim of an idea is very surprising. I think that observing our natural beauty of St. Johns County is something that we have all felt as a community. We don't want to pave over our history. There's so many good trails and opportunities to enjoy nature. I think that any sort of large project like that would have to be planned out over many times just to do one fraction of what was proposed with the community's involvement. There would have to be a large economic incentive and trade-off to even consider it, but I'm more of a environmental first person, and golf courses are generally not the best things for the environment anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chambers.
I wish I could have voted on that because the answer would have been no. Majority of my career in law enforcement was spent here in the South. And it breaks my heart when you go through different areas of the county that, I grew up in. Then I grew up in the law enforcement side of things, watching being developed. I've hunted and fished my whole life. And to see now these housing developments, golf courses and whatever else coming to pass is, it's heartbreaking at the least. And the residents of this county should have the right to say what they want in their backyard and what they don't want in their backyard. And as Sam said earlier, sometimes you gotta tell Tallahassee no, you gotta tell the state no. We know what's best for this county, not the state.
Thank you. Mr. Morgan, you should go.
Against grift and insider deals at all levels. So I'm glad this did not go through. And I'm here, like I said, to fight for the residents and to protect St. Johns County. If that means against Tallahassee, that's what it means. You elect me, you're going to get somebody that tells you the truth. And that's going to fight till their dying breath to protect this county.
Great.
Okay, there's two things I want to talk about really quick. And obviously, no, I was completely against that. But if you watch right now, they're taking park models into Anastasia Park for glamping. And they're sneaking these things in there right now. They're plowing an entire RV park in Volano Beach for park models that are supposed to be RVs. And if you drive up A1A, you will see a blank space right on your left when you go past the stoplight. And it's there. And it's so sad because it wasn't meant to be that. It was meant to be a campground. And now they're sneaking all these ideas in for guess what? It's called money. And just follow the dollar. Every time you see this thing, follow the dollar. Let me give you a good example. In Ponte Vedra Beach, the Guana Preserve. Everyone knows the Guana Preserve, right? There's a developer who had a little bit of property in there and wanted to trade property all over the state, bad property, for building a golf course in there and being able to develop guana in 5 days. 5 days. Not only did we get a developer on the side, Peyton, who donated the property in the first place, his dad, not the son, his dad. We got the Audubon, we got the public. I rode my bike down there. We had signs. We got on every news channel. It went national. There was 150 views on Facebook. And in 5 days, the developer ran away and guana's still there and not been intruded on. But that doesn't mean the future is going to stay that way. Everyone's trying to take what we have. We have to be careful.
Thank you. All right. Any question?
Someone brought back a bad memory. Would you all vow to never call us NIMBYs? That did not sit well. That didn't land well with the good people of St. Augustine South. Am I right, Micheline? Right. Okay, but my real question is this. $101,000 a year might not be a lot to some of you, but to a lot of us, that's a lot of money. A lot of us would never dream of being able to make that amount of money. So for $101,000 a year, would you vow to work for us full time, for this to be your only job, to not have any other jobs on the side? And if you did get offered a cushy job, say in, I don't know, Jacksonville, like halfway through your term, would you either decline the job or step down? And finally, how long is a reasonable amount of time to be away from the county on vacation at a time?
We will start with Mr. James Austin Galloway.
I believe that, my first time that I ever, gave a public speech, at the St. August, or the Republican Executive Committee, I did say that I would treat this full time. As an attorney, I've always taken a lot of pride in my work. And I like to be very detailed oriented. I like to solve complicated problems. And I like to be accountable for every position that I take. This is going to be a lot of work, but I've already mapped out what I'm going to do as a commissioner. One of the first things I'm going to do is going to be very burdensome, and I'm going to review our county contracts. And I'm going to have detailed notes. I'm going to categorize them in a way that I would with my law office. To answer the second part of your question, because I'd run out of time. If I told you everything I'm going to do as soon as I become commissioner, is I believe that maybe a few days of time on vacation. I'm not really big on vacations. As a small local business owner for 10 years, the recipe to my success has always been to be available and to be thorough, and I'll be there. Thank you.
Mr. Timbers.
Yes, on full time, and I've been treated no differently than the job I held for the last 25 years. I would either be in the office or out in the field, talking to the residents, seeing what their concerns and issues are. As far as no other job, absolutely not. We did an interview, I think, when I first got in the race, and one of the questions posed was, if elected, will you give up your job? I currently work a couple nights a week, part-time, and absolutely, I would give it up. As far as vacation, what's the appropriate amount of time? I don't know. I don't get vacations. I got a daughter that competitively dances, and she dictates if and when we have any time to take off. So if we get any time, it's usually right around Thanksgiving. We go up to Tennessee for 3 or 4 days, and we're right back here in St. Johns County.
Mr. Martin Ishimuka.
Yeah, and I mean, Tim might be a really nice guy, and I do say that the world is full of nice guys, but yeah, he'll be getting about a 4 times pay increase taking this job, and it's only a 2-day week job if you treat it that way. I am going to be doing this 100% of the time. I've been doing it 100% of the time. People see me doing it 100% of the time. I'm in a position where I do own a business. It is professionally managed, out of state, absolutely no conflicts, and I have to dedicate maybe an hour or 2 a week. So I am on the clock for you. And I'd also be 100% fine with rolling back our salaries to the previous level, at least, to show that, you know what, we actually have skin in the game. We know that our government budget is at 1.9 billion right now, and it grew from 920 million in 2020. And we need to start trimming this down. I am a fiscal conservative. As far as vacation time, squeeze your vacations when there's nothing going on. There's meetings that are, it's not like they plan this stuff out the day of. Be an adult. That whole showing up to meetings via Zoom is a joke. If you miss a meeting, you better be dead or in a coma.
I'm afraid of Martin. Oh my.
Mr. Keating.
Okay.
Sorry, real quick, you have a rebuttal.
Go ahead, Martin knows my finances better than me. I'm retired.
There's financial disclosure
Yeah.
forms, folks.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm retired. I don't have to work. I choose to because that money that I make goes straight into my daughter's dance account. That's what keeps her funding and keeps her doing what she does. You know, I'm not out flipping real estate or doing anything else like that on the side. I do that only because I love my daughter. I love my children, and I'll provide with them everything I can. You know, I don't have to get into this race. I didn't have to throw my name in a hat, but I've lived in this county for far too long to watch things go on that are not good for the county.
I apologize. We do have 2 additional questions that we have to get to. So I'm gonna have to move forward. So Crystal Keating Joseph.
Okay, can I just, the nippy thing when you guys had a cell phone tower in your backyard, come on. And the trail, you guys, come on. I mean, I hate hearing that term because it's not fair to the people who invested in their home and their community to have something all of a sudden show up that you didn't know was going to be there. That's not fair. Okay. And then to call you NIMBY is not fair. Second of all, I'm working because, and I'm running again because my husband told me before he died that you need purpose and you like helping people. So for the last 4 years, I've had hardly any vacation because I've been taking care of him with ALS for 4 years, as well as doing this job. So going forward, it's my only job. I'm actually going to have more time now. And you know, every 2 weeks we have a meeting. If you need to go on vacation, I would think about 4 days, 6 days, you know, be in the middle where then you can still have your staff meeting before the meetings. So, and I actually team, I call them team, not staff, but just, be an adult, like good point. And calling into these meetings is absolutely ridiculous. And I've missed one meeting. Well, I missed one meeting where I had to help my son and I called in and it wasn't effective. I think I dropped off during the meeting. It just wasn't effective. We need to be there. And the other one is when my husband died. So there you go.
And Mr. Sandler.
I absolutely would treat this as a full-time job. In my previous career, I never had to look for a parking space because when you're the first one to work, you get to park where you want. And oftentimes was the last one to leave. So working full-time as a county commissioner is probably fewer hours than we're doing as candidates. If you're campaigning like I am, it's 80 hours a week, and I don't going to full-time hours would be a nice break. I've been invested in this community for half my life. And I came in early and stayed late all the time because I had a passion to make sure we put our citizens first. We were good stewards with our budgets. In the jail, I would turn back $1 million every year for my budget back to the sheriff's main budget because government's not good with money. Just because you have it doesn't mean you have to spend it. I found other ways to save money by changing the way we did briefings and save $300,000 a year. They use that money to hire 5 new employees, and the next budget year I needed less money because I had money left over. As for vacation, in my last 5 years of my career, I took 1 week a year. And that was a family vacation we've been doing since my daughter was 2 and she's now 30. And this year we're not doing it because of this campaign. So when you're dedicated to your community, you're going to work as many hours as you need to.
Thank you. All right, we do have a question that came from the audience that I'm going to read for y'all. And then we have one additional question, and then we're going to do closing.
I'd like to make a comment.
We're going to do questions for right now. All right. So we're going to do 2 more questions and then a closing, but then you will have an opportunity to interact with the candidates afterwards. All right. And I just want to honor everyone's time. That's our goal. So the question is, and you can answer as quickly as you want, is safety is a huge concern for this community, as I'm sure it is across the county. How would you address a safety concern of minors driving e-bikes on the streets? And we are going to start with Mr. Tim Bird.
Spent 25 years in safety, and these e-bikes are out of control. I'm hoping that Sheriff Hardwick will do something a little bit more to enforce the issues we're having with them. We had the issue with golf carts about a year or 2 back with kids driving them, driving recklessly, driving them in areas where they weren't supposed to, not obeying the laws. And unfortunately, some of them have gotten killed, hurt really bad. It starts at home. Parents need to be parents. It doesn't start with law enforcement. By the time it reaches law enforcement, it's out of control at that point. I think, more law enforcement interaction, education at the school level, by the sheriff's office, but mostly by the parents. My kids sure as hell don't have an e-bike. They sure as hell ain't getting an e-bike. I see it all too often in my neighborhood. Kids come by my house doing 40 miles an hour on one. Our speed limit is 25. So we got to start at home. Parents need to be parents, and the sheriff's office needs to take a stance and be more aggressive with their patrolling in their efforts to stop it.
Thank you. Mr. Martin, you should move back.
You can just say Martin from now on. I should have told you that earlier. I had this little, I live in a little, they call it a cove. It has this little park. It's a piece of grass out in front of our house. It's a little biker gang of teenage kids came rolling. And I was out there. So I gave him an old, call him mean mug growing up. And people always say, I just have a mean face. Yeah. So that worked. That got him out of it. But no, these e-bikes are a huge thing. They're a huge problem. And Tim made a very good point. My kids are asking for electric scooters. I have an electric scooter now because I'm knocking on doors with it. Oops, I should have said that if you guys are actually not. But I refuse to get it for my kids. It does start at the home. We need to really crack down on these things, though. They are dangerous things. You don't hear them. I was walking the other day and I had pretty decent self-awareness, especially after putting my hat in for this position. I've really kept my head on a swivel, we'll say. But one of these little suckers creeped up. So, no, we need to fix it. It's a huge problem. And it's not just to protect people walking around, it's to protect the kids. And parents don't parent, unfortunately. I see a bunch of kids with devices. You walk by or drive by a school stop, all the kids are just staring at the phones. But I can't raise them like I raise my kids.
All right, Christine.
Okay, well, this is what we've tried to do it. We've tried to do it on our level, commissioner level, and it's not going to work there. So Rob Hardwick has been making some positive differences. He has his sheriff department and he has a posse. They went out and got the fastest e-bikes you can have because these kids are running away from the sheriff.
Oh my.
So now he sent them to training school and now they're good on these bikes. So when someone calls in and says, in your cove, they're here, they get over there and they start chasing these kids down. And I guess a couple have gone to jail and they still don't care. So their attitude is really bad. And I do know that I think Clay had a school education program coming. And the bad thing is Governor DeSantis had a perfect bill that he did not sign. And it was that, you had to get a license, you have to register your bike, you can't be over a certain age. It was great. And it's gone. He didn't do it. And I think Kim Kendall's disappointed in that too, because I think she was a sponsor of the bill. So look forward, because I do think, I'm sure the county commissioners will probably try to keep going, but hopefully we get the new governor, whoever that's going to be, on it. So thank you.
Thank you. And James Austin Galvin. That's fine.
Anytime a young person gets seriously hurt or maimed or killed on an e-bike or at all, it's something that we always look back and say, well, what could we have done to prevent this? Is there anything? And the county commissioner, we have to know what it is that we're able to do in terms of prevention. Is it an ordinance? Is it merely vocalizing and relaying the sheriff's recommendations? I think that an item, a fad like an e-bike is something that we all have to naturally accept is a product. It's a liability for many situations. And we have to just, on a human level, as a family, as responsible people, we have to get the word out that there's so much traffic, there's so much congestion, there's so many obstacles out there, and it's not a good idea. I mean, sometimes you have to say no as a parent, as a commissioner. Legally, there's only so much you can do, but I'll do everything I can. I'm a parent now, so I want to see everyone safe. I always have. Thank you.
All right, we have our last question for this evening, and then we will be.
Did you want me to answer that?
Oh, I am so sorry.
Okay.
I do want you to answer. Yeah, sorry.
Well, yeah, this is definitely not a substitution for being a parent. You know, so many times kids get iPhones, they get iPads, and now it's electric bikes because it's a way that the parents can send their child out and they don't have to worry about them till dinner time. Seen it during my whole career. If we can find a way to make it that, it is a electric moped. Just like electric motorcycles have to have a tag on it. If you make them to where they have to be legal, just like any other motor vehicle, then those kids have to have a driver's license before they can ride those. And then we have more teeth and more enforcement on that. But we've got to have our parents, obviously, have got to be more involved, and you can't turn these kids loose with a vehicle that does 45 miles an hour to a 12-year-old that has no clue about traffic laws, no clue about how quickly they can be involved in a traffic crash. And you only have to go to 1 or 2 children killed in a traffic crash in your career to make you not want to sleep well at nights. So we've got to protect our children. As county commissioners, I think if we can't fix it at a local level, then we've got to get more counties, because I'm sure we're not the only county in Florida having this problem. We need to get people from every county going to Tallahassee and showing a united front to get the government to change that.
Thank you. All right. And I do want to respect y'all's time, so we are gonna try to get y'all out of here as close to 8 as possible. But just as a reminder, the next event is July 30th to meet the candidates as well, to where you can also engage and ask questions. Their emails are on the paper, the handout, and we've heard they respond to emails, so please communicate that way as well. We'll have our last question. I apologize. We have to go in order. I apologize, and then we have to get folks out. So I'm really sorry.
So, does y'all hear me okay?
No.
No, no, not really. Gotta eat it. All right, so I do want to start off with, I am Rachel Souls. I'm approaching 20 years with the St. Paul County Sheriff's Office. I do want to start off with, there is a massive difference between what constitutes a good old boy, cutting back through developer deals, and lifelong first responder who has spent decades wearing a uniform protecting this county. If a lifetime of local service and sacrifice makes us good old boys in our opponent's eyes, we wear that simple pride. Still can't hear me?
I can.
Is it loud? Sorry.
Real quick.
You're asking.
Get there.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah, don't answer question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
About my background. I mean, I do, it says towards Krista and Martin. Kind of about, we talked about I was discussed earlier about the financial stuff towards law enforcement. It does get brought up a lot. I know the salary stuff gets brought up every time we meet. And hats off to teachers if there are any in here, because I don't know how they survive in the county. I know me approaching 20 years.
What's the question?
If not, we can ask someone else.
And I know you want to argue about
I just want to get to your
Learning
question.
about what? About affordable housing or about law enforcement salaries, teacher salaries?
all of it.
I've never argued about law enforcement salary.
Real quick, y'all.
The government's job is fire,
Krista,
fire,
including that.
safety, police officers, and
I
infrastructure.
apologize. We're gonna have to.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
I
You
like
guys-
the shoes, but. Sorry.
I have a question regarding, you're talking about the 16, the infrastructure, blah, blah, for the streets. Because we do have such small streets here in St. Augustine. I have noticed developers buying up the land and building thousands and thousands of apartments. They're just built one, I think on King of Volusia. I see them, I think they just did another land property on 16, building all new apartments. They're all new ones, all the way down 16, 2-lane highway. And that's what the problem is. You have thousands and thousands of more people here. It's not the roads, it's the people that are coming in and the multi-family homes. And they're just
And then
taking out the
the
layer
question there.
as a developer. So how can you help,
Martin, you first or me?
you know what I'm saying, that, for that to keep going on, because it's just gonna take us. That's the.
So the first,
Well, we need to, like I said, we need to fight this Tallahassee takeover. I've already been doing it. I already went down to Tallahassee and spoke out against the bill that would have catastrophic implications on this county. It's called the Blue Ribbon Bill. I was the only one down there speaking out about it, and I probably knew about it because I was at all of the Republican meetings, because I'm running as a Republican. I went down there and I was so effective with my comments that the senators were actually parroting back what I said. Now, the Blue Ribbon Bill would basically give a developer carte blanche if they own 15,000 acres within this county. We have two tracts of land. One is 35,000 acres, which no one really knows who owns it because it's hidden in LLCs. One is just shy under 15,000 acres. We know who owns that. David Hudson. He would move heaven and earth to get those additional few hundred acres to complete that land, because he wouldn't even have to do anything with it. It's called arbitrage. That land value would skyrocket. So I am fighting for this. And as far as live local in these crazy apartments, we need the will. We need the will to say enough is enough. And everyone on the campaign trail can't do anything. If I listened to you can't do anything, I would not be where I am. I would have not played Division I football, been the last person recruited, became captain. I would have not married my beautiful spouse. And we are going to do it. We need the will on the board to get it done.
thank you.
That project's the Live Local project. They totally did not come to the Board of County Commissioners, because if it did, we probably would have denied it because it's too much impact on that road. 16's probably 158% over capacity, at least, maybe 178% over capacity. So when they say police officers, teachers need workforce housing, they're using that as your Trojan horse. So there is all that available also that I didn't even include in my Zillow comments. So, you know, it's so hard to be a commissioner right now because we're getting overruled by a home rule. And yes, we can start suing and doing that. But I think until the people get behind us too and show that they're really ticked off about all this, I mean, and you guys are getting there. And I just need a strong person on the board that knows it too and is there. And just the comment that I have is that right now, if we don't have two other commissioners, I'm the most experienced commissioner on the board, 4 years. Ann and Clay are a year and a half, not even 2 years yet. So do you want someone who doesn't know anything about what's going on, or do you want someone who knows what's been going on and what we can do?
All right, next is Sam Williams.
Yeah, you know, there may be a place for high density residential, but not on a 2-lane road. And it doesn't make sense if there's not a need for it there. You know, you see a lot of these apartment complexes and they go up and they're built and the parking lot's about 25% full. So was there a need for that? You know, if you have a 10-acre piece of land and you could put 40 homes there for an apartment complex that houses 200 people, 200 people's 400 cars on the road. We got to plan that out, and we got to, if we're going to approve anything to be built, it's got to be because our county needs it, not because the developers want it.
All right, thank you. And next is James Austin Gallagher.
So I support home rule. I think that the local citizens know what's best for our communities. I'm not in favor of the bill or with local. I know that there's other bills that are being drafted now. As commissioners, we do have to observe state statutes in that regard if they pass or if the new ones pass. But more importantly, we need to support our small local businesses first. I think that getting ahead of ourselves, looking at anything other than making sure that there's pathways of success of the people that have established their local businesses here is going away from how this county's going to survive in the future. Outreach and talking to our residents, our families, our small local business owners, and our citizens, our seniors is very important to me. I think that that's the best gauge, but I don't support anything that's a rapid development that will not help us as taxpayers. I'm looking to avoid a budget shortfall, and that means supporting local and small businesses. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Chambers.
All right, last but not least, the wheels came off the bus a long time ago, and it's not with this current commission. It was commissions before and before and before that permitted this county into the position we are now. What we got to do going forward is make sure that we are permitting what is needed by the county, what is wanted by the residents. And like I said earlier, we have 200 more developments or projects on the books now to be developed in the future. We can't continue to sustain this type of growth without our infrastructure, being in place. We also have to, I think James alluded to it a second ago, you got to make sure you do what's legal too. Last thing we need to do is end up in a lawsuit and end up losing that lawsuit and ending up losing taxpayer money. There's been several lawsuits. I think we got 5, and maybe the commissioner can correct me if I'm wrong. There's 5 pending lawsuits right now in the county. And who only knows where those are going to go and what that's going to cost us in the end. But, we need to do better. If elected, I'll do better. I'll look at things, do what the citizens want. I'll be transparent, honest, and ethical in all my decisions.
All right, so thank you. To wrap us up, because we are at 8 o'clock, we're going to just do closing remarks. I'm going to give you 60 seconds to do closing remarks, and we are going to start with Krista Keating-Joseph.
Thank you. I've been having a great time being your commissioner for the last 4 years, and I'd like to continue being it. And it's up to you. You could get out and vote, get your friends to vote, put my signs out. I don't mind. Anyway, I'm here for you, and I listen to you, and I do return your emails. You can call me. My phone number's there, or email me with your phone number. I'll call you back. So thank you so much for coming tonight. It means a lot, and spread the word.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you for these questions that we got afterwards, because it breaks it up a little different than all the forums we've sat on. This community has trusted me for over 3 decades to protect y'all, protect your homes, protect your children, protect your way of life. You could trust me doing that, and now you could trust me as your county commissioner. Thank you for that opportunity.
Mr. James Austin Delaware.
I greatly appreciate everyone coming out tonight and engaging in this important civil endeavor with our government. It's an honor to be your candidate. What I represent is a safe, steady, and professional choice. I've been an attorney for over 12 years, a business owner in St. Johns County since 2017. And I feel like I owe a lot of success to St. Johns County. I recently became a father, and my beautiful wife and son are here tonight. So please come say hello to us. It's such a pleasure to have my home here, and it would be a real privilege to represent you fine people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. Glad to be here, proud to be here. Lived here my whole life. It's where the only place I've ever called home, except for when I went abroad in the military. And I want only what's best for the county. I have no hidden agendas. I have no concerns over wealth and things like that. I'm not doing it for a paycheck. I'm doing it for a love for this county. I'm doing it to make sure that my children, your children, my grandkids that I have now, your grandkids, and future generations have a great place in St. Johns County. We've always been a great county, and we will continue to be a great county. We need to put those decisions that need to be made back into people's hands. And we need to make sure we're doing the will of the people. I spent over 25 years in public service. And I want to be a public servant again. It's not out of me. I still have a lot to give and want to give back to the community. Thank you.
The first case I worked with the FBI was in the Atlantic City, New Jersey area. They let me stay after the academy because my wife was about 9 months pregnant and they didn't want us flying to Hawaii in that situation with her being that pregnant. It was an undercover gun ring drug buying. So they had us close by and we could monitor everything that was going on with the undercover agent. And they were talking and the bad guys said, and this guy's talking about life-changing money for this hit. $10,000. And I said, that changes nobody's life. No matter what strait you're in. I am not suicidal. I'm a very good driver. I'm not saying this lightly because I know what I'm up against. You're talking about billions of dollars. And if you think I'm doing this for personal gain, look who I'm talking about. I'm doing this to protect the county and fight for it. And the people are dying for a fighter.
Thank you. Thank you to our candidates for opening time to be with us here tonight. Neighbors, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And with that, don't quickly, and there's lots of food and beverages if we take care of the way. Have a wonderful night. Thank you.